If psychiatrists were to listen, instead of blindly following a psychiatric mantra, it might be a very different story for those children who are no longer here. And that's the reason why there is a need for truth, justice, accountability, which you can see in the message today. When things go wrong, psychiatrists have a tendency to blame the person's mental problems instead of taking a good long look at their own prescribing habits and the use of drugs that can cause the exact problems that they're supposed to be treating. While the state of units like the Midland Centre are already under the spotlight, the same must go to the mind-altering drugs that can
Thank you.
as a supposed solution to mental problems that which are responsible.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. Please share this demo. This demo is for Matthew Lee He. His mother has been fighting for 7 years. In a minute I will be speaking. Melanie has kindly asked me to speak, and my subject is justice. So I'll be speaking in a moment. Please share for Matthew.
Thank you.
Stuart, can you hold that just so I can stick this t-shirt on?
Yeah, sure.
Have we found Sophia yet? Sophia back?
Thank you.
In London, there's a company called
Just show them.
Inquest Group, and they do a lot of good work for bereaved families, not just in mental health, but within prison and deaths within police stations, etc. They couldn't be here today due to social distancing, but they have supported a lot of the families that I have dealings with myself, and they give me a statement, so I'd just like to read this out. Inquest stands in solidarity with Melanie Levy and multiple families in their search for justice as they gather for a memorial service on 27th of August. The families are fighting to uncover the truth behind the deaths of their loved ones, whilst under the care of Essex Mental Health Services. Inquest is aware of a number of deaths of inpatients at the Linden Centre in Chelmsford since 2004. And I must add, we know they go back further than that. Among them, Melanie's son Matthew, who was found hanged a week after being admitted as an inpatient in 2012. Today, the families have secured the backing of a top London legal team. Now that legal team is here today. They're from Hodge, Jones and Allen, and two ladies have finally come. If anyone here would like to talk to them over the course of our event, please feel free, they're here to see you. And I'm calling on other failed Essex families to join us
This guy here just keeps writing that on.
public inquiry to examine mental health services across all of Essex. Inquest supports the efforts to put the lack of accountability and learning demonstrated by these services under the spotlight, and has long called for a national system of independent investigations into deaths in mental health settings. Family voices are at the centre of Inquest work, and we are proud to stand in solidarity with the families today. By working together, we hope that all bereaved families
That is Melanie's, Matthew's mum speaking.
and accountability. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jennifer, it's not over until, not just our boys. Melanie's been fighting for 7 years for her son. You know, this January will be 3 years for me. There's many others out there. The whole country needs justice. The whole country.
So, I've come from Brighton area, Lewis, today to talk. It's my died, found by the North Essex Partnership in Colchester, who had told her and us that she was not even ill.
Absolutely, Sharon, for the children and the future generations.
Feeling a burden, being bullied by a few staff with mean comments, and even being given a note, which we saw, which was by her bed, which told her...
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me.
This was designed to make her feel that she was in some sort of trouble for being in hospital for too long, and as a 76-year-old woman, afraid and in awe of authority, it was just too much. It was also a lie, as we found out in the inquest, when nobody seemed to care by then, even when we asked about all the other patients who were in hospital long term. We did not know that Val had been told, that Val had actually told Steph how desperate she was until we read the medical notes, the ones they allowed us to see. We were never informed, as NH policy requires us to be, of our mum voicing her desperation. On the 9th of October 2015, as a voluntary patient in real peril of doing something dangerous, Val was allowed out for 12 hours with no checks of where she was. We were not contacted regarding her safety, and a superficial and wholly inadequate risk assessment was conducted. They even had the wrong telephone number for Val written on the risk assessment, in case they needed to contact her. The inadequate and unpleasant treatment Val had received from some staff, but we saw in black and white in the medical records how when her actual hospital room was burgled, instead of helping her and talking to her and calling us to help her, she lost a lot of money because of faulty windows, the manager actually sat her down and started asking her when she was leaving. And that was at the Kingswood Centre, supposedly a safe place. So what did go wrong? The main thing is a society which does not treat mental health issues with the same compassion as physical health issues. And this, sadly, is reflected by many of the staff in mental health institutions, including some nurses, care coordinators and psychiatrists. Poor funding cannot be the excuse, and we will not accept it as such. The brain is a physical part of the body, and the discrimination towards those seen as mentally unwell must stop. Also, any things across which cannot be trusted to look after mentally ill patients with robust risk assessments, proper diagnosis, and care to offer every patient the right to life, as set out in the Human Rights Act. This is very important. So-called voluntary patients like Val, that is, they're not sections, are very much at risk of coming to harm in the community outside the hospital, even after they have flagged up a crisis in their mental health, or during even. They are seriously in danger because they feel such a burden on society, especially when they are told that they are strong enough to go out alone, and should therefore be able to live alone and to fend for themselves when their mental health is shattered for reasons beyond their control. This, of course, has a lifelong impact on families, those who find them often in public places when they've died, and of course on the patients themselves in those terrible last moments when they feel they have nowhere to turn. Drugs, for example, are not always...
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me.
It made things worse for my mum, who trusted the doctors despite the shambles of her care. The lack of an approved diagnosis over decades, for example. She was never diagnosed properly, and so was never treated properly. The cocktail of drugs given to her in a shocking mishmash of reckless decision-making merely exacerbated her confusion and sense of rejection by the medical team that was supposed to work together to protect her. I spoke to the toxicologist, who was shocked by the drugs she had been prescribed, many of which, he said, should not be given to the elderly. The serious incident report, the
Trust's own supposed investigation as an insult to the family and had to be rewritten with outside intervention, as it had been adjusted by the very staff with whom we had issues to try to make themselves look better. This is real, it actually happened. The second report was just as bad, and in a final meeting, after many months of torture and hedging, I was told matter-of-factly by trust managers that my mum was not even ill and that she had made a reasoned choice. I was aghast. The police were also involved, as an anonymous letter to the hospital said that staff were told not to.
Thank you, Katrina, and thank you for everyone who shared.
And the danger she was in. Nothing came of this.
And thank you, Facebook, for your shadow ban.
Many similar cases. The inquest in Chelmsford, right somewhere here, was actually one of the worst things. There being hundreds of these.
Hi Tess, I'm in Chelmsford.
And it felt like just a rubber stamp. Lessons must be learned by the trust. Family being dignified. Blah, blah, blah. With nothing of Article 2.
Standing with another mother who lost her son 7 years ago. I'll explain after the speeches.
That inquest almost finished me off. Almost lost me my job. To think how no one really cared. So the lies and failings were so plain to see in that room. All those lies were just glossed over, and that made me feel sad and angry and helpless. I'm really finished. The Ombudsman did agree with us that there were failings, and spoke of that note about the commissioners was inappropriate and that the risk assessments were inadequate. They offered us £500 as some sort of monetary compensation. I'd previously been told by lawyers that although we had a really good case, they could not fight for us because my mum was too old at 76, and that the monetary compensation would not cover their costs, and we could never afford to fight the case ourselves. So this now is our chance to fight for all the people of all ages who are not listened to and who are not respected when they are in so-called care of the MP and other trusts, for the families who are sidelined and ill-informed, lied to even. The public inquiry needs to reveal the deep-seated problems in the mental health care and inquest.
She has, Danny, you're correct.
In Essex and in the UK. It cannot be acceptable for individuals in crisis to feel uncared for, and worse, to be rejected and cast out from a place that should protect them, whoever they are, whatever age. So please support us, if you're not with us already, in our effort to change the way lovely, real people like Val, Ben, Matthew, Glenn, Richard and all the other people who are suffering or have suffered from mental health issues are treated in our country.
I'm in Chelmsford,
It's so
Sam.
important to remember those we have lost with love. And somehow we've got to get to go over and over their stories, even those agony, in order to try and get some truth, accountability and justice, so someone can accept responsibility and change them truly. Thank you.
Well done.
Brilliant. See how easy it is for her to speak the truth. It flows. And that's what we want, the truth. I'd like to introduce Lisa Morris. She lost her son Ben. She didn't lose him. He died in a place of safety. 20 days after entering it in 2008. This lady's worked with me for a number of years. And we made some journeys to get to this point. So I have pleasure introducing you, Lisa. You're a warrior.
20 days. He died with him.
Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who came up your time and come to support us in this cause today. I'd like to ask if you wouldn't mind, if you know of anyone or you suffer yourself from mental health, would you mind please raising your hand? Out of all those people, would you raise your hand please if you've had satisfactory care? Thank you. My son was just 20 years old. He was admitted into the Linden Centre in 2008. He was partially diagnosed with ADHD, but was never diagnosed as a child. We was told that the psychiatrist didn't medicate him until we found out that he also had temporal lobe epilepsy. When they agreed to go into the Linden Centre voluntary that night, he was medicated instantly. They told him if he didn't take his medication, they would restrain him and inject the medication into him. This is on a psychiatrist's word that he shouldn't have been medicated until fully diagnosed. Just 20 days after Ben's admittance, he died. He was found in his room. Sorry. Too many others have died in similar situations now under this trust, and I know I haven't fully had the truth surrounding Ben's death. The trust keeps promising publicly and personally that they've made the changes necessary, but I feel the only way forward now is for a public inquiry to force the changes, to stop any more innocent lives being taken through pure neglect and incompetence on the trust's behalf. And I think I need to end there now because
Yeah,
my mind's just not right now, sorry.
it's okay.
But thank you again all for coming.
What a brave mother. What a brave mother.
See, talking about Ben, it's very difficult, and especially when you knew or you believed and trusted that your kids would be safe, and your mum's. Okay, so, back to me. The phone rang. The doctor was on the other end of that phone, and he says, "Hi, Mrs. Leahy. It doesn't look good. Matthew's been found hanging." I fell to the floor. I couldn't breathe. The panic attack. My partner took the rest of the call. What I didn't know is my son had already, he said it didn't look good, that was it. What I didn't know is my son had already been dead an hour. That was the first line. We then ended up going to the hospital to view the body. The body. My boy laid on a trolley. A police officer stood in the room. "Don't touch. He's a crime scene. Can I have a cutting of his hair? Can I stroke his hand? If you touch him, I'll arrest you. He's a crime scene." And yet, they didn't treat him as a crime scene. They didn't seal the room. They destroyed the ligature. The doctors left the country. The nurses falsified the documents. The evidence, any evidence, it was missing. Documents have gone missing. How can we get to the truth unless staff are brought in under oath and they're not allowed to sit down with internal statements and fabricate them? They need to be questioned, and I'm sure under oath people will break. A public inquiry, a statutory public inquiry, will require evidence to be taken under oath. I had a police investigation. When I questioned it, it went for review. First of all, a local resolution, which is a paper shuffle. We'll answer a few questions. She'll be happy. She'll go away. Then they did a review. This review was yet another paper shuffle. I argued again. Then all the documents went to Chelmsford for another review. Now bear in mind, this is now going on 4.5 years since my son died. It turns out there was no investigation in the first place. There was no note, there was only notebooks, and very poor notes were kept. So, I went to the Health and Safety Executive and I argued, if Philip Morris died in 2008, in a similar means to my son, no one changes made to stop that happening. To stop that ligature point killing anybody else, should a patient want to kill themselves. And I must say, to this day, I don't believe my son did do it to himself, and neither does Lisa. So this is why our journey continues. So, health and safety. Sorry, we're not interested. It's nothing to do with us, not in our remit. I got Pretty Patel involved. 3.5 years. And then finally, Pretty Patel gives up. Tells me I must stop, can't go any further. I was researching online. I found a back door into the health and safety website. I found a case where a patient had committed suicide by ligature. I presented that to Richard Judge at Health and Safety and said, you do deal with it, and you can't tell me it's a CPC matter because HSC was responsible for that trust in 2012. Suddenly a doorway opened. July 16, I was called into Essex Police Station, July 16, Health and Safety called in. They spent 15 hours with 6 members of staff photocopying all my evidence. And the case for a health and safety investigation began. That is still ongoing, so we're now 4 years plus down the line, but now incorporates 10 other deaths. And see, while it's still ongoing, nothing changes, and still patients are ligaturing within the trust. Everything takes too long. The police investigation was opened from 7 deaths in November 16 to January 17, which then escalated to 25. Now we have one father that got his investigation to the CPS twice, and yet the police with another 24 deaths couldn't get it to the CPS once. We had no right to review. We're not victims. It's a state crime. There is no justice. Without justice, there's no accountability. Without accountability, there is no proper change. And this is what happens. Staff, as nurses, get struck off, they become healthcare assistants. Yep. They should be nowhere near vulnerable people if they've already failed. There's no registration. We get agencies that set up, they get caught out, having done something wrong, they set up another agency. They will change their names by default to set up another agency. The whole system is corrupt. So for me, please you guys, all of Essex needs to know, we are fighting for change. We will fight for the learning disabled. We will fight for the people that suffer with autism. You need safe care. Dementia, it needs safe proper care, not drugging up to shut them up. I think I better stop before I get too emotional here, but as you can tell, I'm very passionate. I am not alone. I have 1,000, 100,000 angels in spirit that should not be there. Yeah. They all left too soon, and they were all fouled, and we have to unite to stop that. Thank you very much for listening.
Well done, Melanie Leahy. Matthew Leahy's mum.
A lady who is as passionate about justice and change as I am. Excuse me. Tracy Blackwell, please would you come and join me?
Yeah, thank you. How you coming with me? You do this? Oh, sure. Well done, Melanie. And to the other mum. And to the other mum.
This is my daughter.
Do you want to say some words? Hold on, can I just...
Yes, go on.
Sorry. This is my lovely mum, so I don't know what she's going to say, but I'm sure it's going to be good.
This is a wonderful girl. I admire her. I don't know where she gets all the strength from, but he's up there looking down on her. And she does such a lot for everybody. It's a wonderful thing that it's my daughter. She deserves everything.
And guess who I get it from?
Yeah.
Love is a great thing. If you got a little bit of it, share it.
Absolutely. And it's the pain, the injustice and the wrongdoing that makes us fight as hard as we do. And believe me, it is the worst pain you can ever imagine when you lose your child. Thank you to Melanie for asking me to speak today. Like Melanie, I myself have been robbed of my son. Although in my case, someone involved with what happened is in prison, justice was still not served, as they placed him on the wrong charge intentionally. And that, like Matthew's, was to hide the crimes from all of you, the British public. Today, Melanie has asked me to speak about justice. Like many, I grew up in this country thinking we had one of the great British justice systems going. Can't beat British justice, I would hear and read so many times and see on the TV and in the newspapers. For justice to be obtained, it starts from the bottom to the top. The police, the coroner, the CPS, and then the courts. Included in that are the QCs and the solicitors. One always assumed that the police, the CPS and the courts were supposed to protect us from harmful acts committed intentionally by other people. One learned that the criminal justice system and the agencies attached to them are only focused on only a small proportion of harmful acts. Many other crimes that are committed intentionally, acts that kill and injure people and result in the loss of property and many other acts are not vigorously pursued. One learned about the massive criminal justice changes of the last 50 years. Changes driven not by facts about crime or increasing crime rates, but by politics, fear and downright hatred towards certain segments of the population. What one assumed was justice compared to what one was witnessing before my very eyes just was not right. It was completely unjust. There are so many injustices happening in this country that it could blanket the whole of Britain. There is no balance. The battle to stop crime is inverted. They would rather conceal and evade. They abuse the public's trust to the highest level. They are failing to serve justice. It is not fit for purpose, and it is just not good enough. The men and women are becoming wise of the widespread failings and the corruption of the police. The police are evading their principal duties in investigating and prosecuting. The CPS is failing to prosecute even when it has a realistic prospect of success. The coroners are not holding inquests that the victims are entitled to. That happened in my case and we're still fighting now. The coroner even went against the Coroner's Act. Judges are failing in their duty to remain impartial, to act according to the rule of law, natural law, and ignoring our unalienable rights. The media are failing to publish the correct factual circumstances. They are also failing to inform the people of the level of corruption prevalent throughout our justice system. They all abuse their position of trust against the public interest. It has all got totally out of control. They are willfully failing in their duties. We have to face facts, because without facing them, we cannot change them, because it is spiralling out of control.
We have to stop the continuous misconducts in office. The laws are being diminished. We are not accepting the justice subject to status, which I come across quite common. They totally ignore white-collar crime. The police oath, the judge's oath, the QC's oath are now made a mockery of. In my son and his two friends' case, the defence QC lied under oath. That's presuming she was standing under it in the first place. And the prosecuting QC changed words and crossed out sentences in our impact statements. Not only were their actions unlawful, they caused us even more distress. They treated our boys disgustingly, like they meant nothing. At the Court of Appeal, one of the reasons they reduced the murderer's sentence was because of the effect on his family. On his family. What does that tell you about our criminal justice system? That it's all backward, inverted and totally corrupt. How can you call this justice when the offender has more rights than the victim? And this is all too common. The criminal system is now aiding crime. It's full of cowards. They are not acting in the interests of the nation, and it is filled with pathological liars, nothing but a sham. They are quite happy to imprison the innocent and let the guilty roam free, or do a deal with a fake charge to hide the crime. Our loved ones are not chattel. We are sick and tired of being trampled on and trespassed against. We'll not know more. You will not silence us. We are here because justice has not been served, and that needs to be served. Melanie and I are not just fighting for our sons. We are, and obviously the other lady, sorry I don't know her name, we are not just fighting for our sons. We are fighting so this does not happen to other people's loved ones, so they do not suffer like our offspring did, and so the parents do not ever have to feel the pain we do. It is a prison sentence to us. There is so much I can speak of with regards to the justice system and the legal realm that they created, how they want to hide our common law of the land. Sadly, there is simply just not enough time. We are here because justice has not been served, and this needs to be served, as I said above. I will leave you with this. One of the maxims of law, they state, and now this is meant to be one of the most comforting maxims that one could have, and your foundation for your peace of mind and your security and your capacity to win and triumph and to make sure you get remedy. And that is truth is sovereign. Truth is sovereign. Exodus 20:16. And its sovereign tells only the truth. Your word is your bond. If truth was not sovereign, all human action and interrelations, there would be no basis for anything. No basis for law and order, no basis, no accountability, there would be no standards, no capacity to resolve anything. It would mean anything goes, each man to himself, and nothing matters. That's worse than the law of the jungle. Yet that's exactly what we have now. De facto courts that lie backed by the CPS, the coroner and the police. It's good to see Melanie now has lawyers by her side. Let's hope they do the right thing by Matthew and hold people accountable for their families. Otherwise we have to start enforcing standards, because injustices anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you, Melanie.
Trace, thank you very much, and I really appreciate coming to do this. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please, 19 years old.
Thank you everyone for your support and sharing.
However artificial this may have been, it's still there to keep passing. Attention seeking, in my opinion, should be taken just as seriously and not seen as an annoyance or a joke. He was asking for help. A public inquiry will also help with the closure of a lost mother with regard to help. I have never been able to move on due to so many unanswered questions. Then passed away too much communication for mental health accommodation. Why was there no interim care in place? 50 remedies instead. Why did they not see his troubles? Why did they not see them when it was broken and he was adult? Why was he discharged from hospital and the police staff who wanted to end his life? Why was he told he was no longer crisis community? Why is my brother gone now?
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Robert Wade. Had services listened to me after Matthew died, well, probably after Ben died, had they listened to Lisa, Matthew wouldn't have died the way he did. Had they listened to me after Matthew died, Richard wouldn't have died the way he did. But sadly he did. Robert.
Thank you all. I shall take you through the 3 steps of truth, justice and accountability, because I see it, and it will be much important than many others. Truth. I need the truth, my family needs the truth, so that we can come to terms with what happened to our son Richard. We want justice, and the reason we want justice is so that my son could find peace in his grave when the people that did not do their job properly have to confront that truth. And having confronted that truth, there must then be accountability. And the importance of the accountability is that no one else has to stand here and say what I'm about to say. It was mid-May 2015 when my son's mental health crisis finally reached the point that he screamed for help. And in screaming for help, he called the police and told them that he was going to hurt himself and take his own life. Some hours later, that is a completely different story. My son was taken from our home in Suffolk to the Linden Centre. When he arrived there, it took him a while to admit it. They made a mistake in that procedure. But within 12 hours, my son had sustained the injuries that were to take his life. It was brain dead. When the trust come to run their investigation, they came up with an amazing analysis. It was shocking. They came to the conclusion that the door where my son was found on the bathroom floor had not been opened once, but 2 groups of people claimed to open it. Now I find that astonishing. I do not know how you could imagine that you opened the door and found someone on the floor inside dying and be mistaken. So, that same fact came up at my son's inquest, and both groups of people were adamant that they opened the door and they found my son dying on the floor. So I came to a simple conclusion. I believe them. They both opened the door. But here's the difficult part. The door was locked when both of them opened it. How? Now I, with my wife, was stood on the wall looking at the door where my son was found and saw him when he was found. The door was not opened twice when we were there. Not only that, but all of the pipework under the sink was damaged, and no one could explain it. I can, so I asked the witness and they told me. As I stand here today, I do not know the truth of what happened to my son in those crucial minutes whilst his life was ebbing away because of lack of oxygen to his brain. What I do know is that the medics with the oxygen bottle he needed were locked out because no one was on the door. And I know that, my wife knows that, my other son knows that because we were stood in the room looking at them, worrying on how they could get in. We do not know what the truth is of what happened to our son, and it has yet to be answered. Let's talk about justice. The police have investigated my son's death case. On the first occasion, they came to the conclusion that there was a case of corporate manslaughter and sent it to the Crown Prosecution Service. The Crown Prosecution Service said it wasn't on the basis that the trust had behaved properly in the way that they did the examination of my son's bag on entry, which is interesting because the trust had just settled the civil claim with me at the very same point. When we come to move a little bit deeper through the investigation, we come up to a principle of law which has come up before, which is from Lord Chief Justice Howard from nearly 100 years ago, that not only must justice be done, justice must be seen to be done. Now, when we met with the police when they kicked off their investigation in July 2017 after my son's inquest, at that meeting, the police made several promises. I shall do with just two. The first promise is if the CPS picked out the police's requirement for pressing charges on corporate manslaughter, that the police would go back and push it. They didn't fulfil that promise for a simple reason. They didn't even ask the CPS to make a judgment on their investigation. Instead, they sent the documentation to a barrister who told them that no, there was nothing to be answered, despite the fact that they'd already concluded in the police that there was, and they now have more evidence and sufficient evidence to link my son to what happened to the scene, which was the thing they said was the only reason they couldn't get the corporate manslaughter in the first place. I can't see those documents. Not only must justice be done, it must seem to be done. It's found on the second part. I haven't got a clue, therefore, what the first part means. Accountability. My son died in 2015. Looking on the internet today, on the website, on the news sites, it says that so far this year, the report, which is an extension of the NPT in the South Essex Trust, 9 people have died. I looked online a little while ago at the reporting on Essex Live News on one of those cases. In that case, someone had taken his life outside of the trust, having been assessed by the trust. And in that assessment, they made that person as low risk, and in a risk that person was then released and was able to take their own life. I go back to 2017 at my son's inquest, and at that inquest, amongst many other failings, one of them was that they did not assess my son correctly on entry. What did they assess him as? Low risk. 5 years, same cause of death, nothing has changed. We asked for 3 things. Truth, so that we can come to terms with what happened. Justice, so that those who got it wrong have to face that truth and have to then live their lives in the light of it. And accountability, so that the wrongs can be taken out and no one else stands here.
Just a quick one from Mark, please, and then we'll be getting ready
thank you everyone who stood up here talking. Now, it's obvious to you who have been watching that there is a common link, and none of us knew that we'd had this fight to get the answers. You know, and you don't understand it until it happens to you, and I pray God that it doesn't, but you will find yourself in the same situation, the same fights, the same links. Dean was sent to Chelmsford prison as a place of safety. On the ongoing report, there was 3 sentences above each other. One said Dean requested to see the prison chaplain to arrange funeral arrangements. The other one was that a nurse had seen scratches on his arm, which was evident as irritable scratching that he couldn't sleep. In the autopsy, they were described as being razor-like cuts. And the third one was being asked to see a solicitor to request a lethal injection to get it over and done with. Those 3 things were right on top of each other. When were they entered? The night before he died. No one. This is why we fight for justice and accountability.
Well, I think we've heard probably 0.5% of what goes on. There's so much more. But we're going to have to stop here because we need to get back for the memorial. So we're going to leave from between those 2 posts, and we're going to head up Market Hill, basically just follow the lead. I'm going to set it off. I need to go in groups of 6 if we've got to be seen to be observing social distancing. We have masks if anyone wants them, we have sanitizer if you want them, and there's going to be 2 guys up there letting you go at 20-second intervals.
Absolutely, Azza. We won't give up.
We're going to walk up Market Hill, across the top, down the High Street, we're going to turn left into Springfield Road, and we're going to end up at the back of British
So we're going to walk through part of Chelmsford now. I've just been told that there's media here, and they recorded every speaker but not me. I was told that as soon as I went up there to speak, they switched their camera off. But that's predictable, isn't it? And not surprising for them to hide me. Another thing quickly while I'm here is obviously Nottingham is going on, but what I want to tell you, you know, I respect everyone who's gone to Nottingham. There's a lot of great people there, but again, it's a media setup, a government setup, like it was when they went and protected the monuments. It's to keep us in this vicious circle of the snake keep eating its tail. Yeah, wash, rinse and repeat. There's many victims here, and you know, if we can get all the victims together and everyone walking, standing up, non-compliance, peaceful non-compliance, and making people aware of what's going on is what can sort this country out. And that's one of the solutions to all of this. Knowing who we are, knowing how to stand, no fear, don't fear them. Stand up for yourselves, because like Melanie just said, or no, the gentleman just said, you know, it may not have happened to you, so it doesn't affect you. It affects all of us. What happens in the country we live in, what happens to people's offspring. Yeah, they've made too many people not care, and people need to care, and people need to stand up before they take all your rights away, because that's what they're doing right now. Anyway, I'm going to turn this back round. Please research the Hegelian dialectic. Research it. That's the module they use. That's what they have created in our society. They are following that. Research it, please, everyone.
Are you all waiting here? Okay. Right. Who's the other two?
Thank you, Susan. Absolutely, we do not comply. As I just said, we do not comply until changes are made, and that is the way to do it. They want civil unrest and they want race wars, yeah? And they get all these movements out on the streets to obtain that. Once everyone can see properly what is really going on, we can make those changes. You know, non-compliance. Non-compliance. I don't comply. The majority of letters that come through my door go straight in the bin. I'm not interested in what they've got to say. I'm not interested in any part of any institution in this country. I'm not interested in any of them. They need to start listening. Otherwise, we'll just continue in this wash cycle. There is so many of us. There's so many of me's. There's so many of my sons. There's so many people's daughters. The music. The solution is non-compliance, people. Peaceful non-compliance. They don't want peaceful. They've terrorised us for years. I've got some leaflets that we're going to hand out. Melanie, that with the help of many others, online, and thank you to you all on Facebook, managed to receive over 100,000 signatures for a public inquiry into Matthew Leahy's suspicious death. And they're ignoring that. They're ignoring the petition, as they do. They ignore, and like Melanie said, they just get pushed to another job. Yeah? These people are failing in duties, allowing death and murders on our street, allowing death and murders in institutions, and nothing being done. Let me just get this man. Bless him, I'm really sorry. Richard Wade.
That was the tip of the iceberg.
I know.
As you all know. It didn't even get started. That's the shame of it all. So bad. So wrong. So many good lives lost. And nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've got to get out of here.
So, we're handing out these leaflets to the people in Chelmsford. Come on, everyone. You know, whether you're a mother, whether you're a father, whether you don't have children, you know, everyone should care about people's offsprings, the neighbours' offspring, if someone's happened to that child. Look what they're doing. Look what's going to happen when the kids go back to school in September. There's reports that a school in Milton Keynes, I don't have 100% confirmation whether it's true, because yet again it's an article, and they can do things just to fear you all, because people who fear are controlled more easier. That's how they see it. You know, going back, having to wear masks, standing, I don't know whether they stand in squares. I haven't been outside of school myself to confirm that, but I know they do keep them apart. What they're doing to the children, and they're going to cause mental health problems on the children in this country, and everyone should care about that alone, let alone the deaths and the murders and the cover-ups and the abuse that they are doing.
Everybody ready? Okay, guys.
I get out as much as I can, as much as I can, I just keep it a bit more low-key for obvious reasons. You know, I'm monitored. So I try and just do things a bit more quieter now. Josetta, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You need to be in front of the coffin because that's coming at the rear.
Can the coffin go to the back?
Yeah, I think you're leaving last with your two guys in the basket. You know?
Yeah, we'll wait.
So make sure everybody's in front of it. Yeah, just so we don't leave anybody behind. It's not so
Absolutely, Azza. Again, spot on, divide and conquer. And again, that's the Hegelian dialectic. How they control us, and what they do, they make group up after group up after group up. There's so many on Facebook, and they do that so people join them and don't stand up on their own, just as people without leaders stand together as individuals but as one. People don't know the power they hold within them. So we're going to give out leaflets along the way. If your family member died whilst under the care of Essex Mental Health Service, get in touch with Menley Leahy if you've always felt it's suspicious, because I can imagine there's thousands of deaths in this country that are not what they claimed to be. I can tell you that now. They didn't bank on us working out what we worked out by the 4th day. By the 4th day, us families knew the police were lying in our case. I don't want to talk much on that, not today, because it's for these. So I'm walking through the town. Melanie has made a coffin back there, which is a brave thing to do, and put all of Matthew's pictures over, covering it. I'm going to come off for a little while, people, just so I can speak to people and hand these out for Melanie. I'll just find it difficult with the phone. But I will see you all soon. Just remember, I haven't gone anywhere. You know, I'm with you. And we can do this. We can.